still on Starting Your Investment Journey audio series. We have come a long way, and I figured out that I needed to add some of these episodes so that we can have a complete picture of the conversation. So in this specific episode, we're going to zoom out and talk about the system that holds our financial assets together. So we will step back and answer a very practical question. And the question is that when you buy a stock, we've looked at how to buy your first stock. So you have actually bought your stock and you are wondering, where does your stock actually go and how does the system knows that it belongs to you? Because we have many people that are buying stock. So how is your own specific stock differentiated from others? So let's break this down. Now, every investment system operates on three core layers. The first layer is the identity layer, and that is who you are in the system. The second layer is the custody layer, and that is where your assets are stored. And the third layer is the access layer. That is how you interact with the markets. Now, let's translate that into real market infrastructure, especially using the Nigerian context as a case study. Let's start with CHN, which is your investor identity. CHN stands for Clearing House Number. Clearing House Number. Think of it as your personal identity number in the capital market system. The same way you have your BVN in the banking, that is how CHN is. But CHN is your permanent identity number in the capital market system. Now, what does CHN actually do? What it does is that it identifies you as a unique investor. It links all your market activities across various stockbrokers, and it stays with you for life. You do not need multiple CHN. One person needs one identity, and that is just one CHN. So if you have several CHN, for example, if you open an account with one broker and that is your first account, that means they get you your CHN. If you start the second one, you should actually tell them your CHN so that they don't mistakenly go and create a separate CHN for you, and then you have to start doing consolidation of your CHN. You need just one CHN. Having understood CHN, let's talk about CSCS. I've talked about it earlier, but it's worth reiterating. CSCS is where your shares actually live. CSCS stands for Central Security Clearing System. And this is the core infrastructure that holds your investment, right? Like I said, I mentioned it earlier in the series. Think of it as a digital vault where your stocks and your bonds are safely recorded. So when you buy shares, they are not held by your broker. They are not held they are not just floating in a system, and they are not physical certificates. They are recorded inside CSCS under your identity. Even though you may be given a physical certificate to show that this is do you have a share with them, but your share actually is not that paper. Your share is held inside your CSCS under your identity. Even with your physical paper, if they check your CSCS and they can't find anything there, it means that you still don't have a share. So the real share is locked inside your CSCS, and that is where your actual ownership is recorded. So now let's look at the third one, which is who or what a broker is. Your broker is your access point to the markets. Now, stockbrokers are not the owners or the custodians of your investment. They are simply the gateway between you and the market, right? Examples include different licensed brokerage firms and investment platforms, and I've mentioned some of them earlier, right? So you can look at Bamboo, you can look at Trove, you can look at Stanbic IBTC, you can look at Cowrywise, you can look at AfriInvest, right? So you can look at all of them, read on them, right? Read about them, go online and study about them. And when you go online, you also see more, because every time we have more brokers, and there are many of them. And like I said also, if you don't want to go to a physical office to register with them, some of them have a way to register an account with them remotely, virtually, either by downloading an app or creating an account on their website. So you can explore that, and I've already explained all of those things earlier. So let's move on. Through the brokers, you can buy your stocks, you can sell your stocks, and you can view all your portfolio activities. Like I said again, they do not store your assets Actually, it is your CSCS that store your assets. So having understood those three concepts, let's dig deeper into how the system actually works. So when you buy a stock, here is what happens behind the scene. You place an order through your broker, and your broker executes the trade in the market on your behalf. Now, the shares are now allocated into your CSCS account, and your CHN confirms your identity that, okay, this person actually has an account with the capital markets platform. And then your portfolio is updated across all the system, right? So the real custody is the CSCS, not your broker. Now, think of your CHN like your BVN, like I said earlier, and your CSCS like your account number, and your broker like your banker. I hope that is clear. Now, let's answer another common question, which is, if I use multiple brokers, do I have multiple CHN or multiple CSCS accounts? I answered that earlier, but let me still go again. You practically have one CHN, which is your identity. I said that if you have several CHN, maybe when you open another account with another broker, they open a separate account for you, then you should let them know that you have a CHN already, so that there can be a unification of all your CHN into one. You should typically have one CHN, but you can have multiple CSCS records, because the CSCS is your holding, and you can have them under different broker. So what happens is that you have different CSCS number under different brokers. So again, think of it like banking. You have one BVN across all your banks, whether you are using GT Bank or Access Bank or any other bank, you are using just one BVN account, but you have multiple bank accounts, and you have multiple banks. So it's the same principle, right? So another question is that, let's say I have an existing asset with a separate broker, and I want to buy more, but not under the same broker. How do brokers identify your existing account so that they don't go and create a fresh one for you? So, and I already said that. So when you open an account with a new broker, they typically verify your identity. When you submit your NIN, your BVN, when you submit your details, they will search the CHN system, and they will usually pull out your CHN. Because once they put your details, they will see that you already have an existing account, and they will see your CHN. And then they can link your investor profile with them, with your CHN. But in some cases, they may request your CHN directly from you to speed up the onboarding, so that they don't have to start digging it out from the CHN system. They can quickly just connect it. And it is also very safe, so that they don't mistakenly go and create a new one for you, and then you have to start connecting them later. So everything you buy from different brokers goes into the same CHN account. So remember that each stockbrokers open a separate CSCS account for you. They don't request your CSCS account. What they request from you is your CHN. Of course, they can dig out your CHN without asking you, but sometimes it is safer and faster if they just ask you and they just connect you straight. So to simplify the entire system, the CHN is your central identity. Your CSCS account is where your accounts, your investment are being held. And there's also something called your contract notes, or the trade reference. So if you bought it online, you'll be issued a contract note digitally. If you go to their office, they'll probably give you a printed copy of your contract notes. It contains the details of the stocks or the investment you buy from them. So your CHN is who you are. Your CSCS contains what you own, and your contract notes is the physical evidence or the digital evidence, the paper that you have, that this is what you have. So usually when I buy shares from different companies like that, I'll be sent a contract note to my email account, and I will download it and save it I'll usually just save it in my Google Drive, so that I have it secured for future references. So if you understand the structure we explained, then everything becomes easier. You stop thinking that maybe my broker owes my investment. You start thinking that, okay, the system owes my investment. My broker is just the access point to my investment. And that shift is very important, because serious investment is not about apps. It's about understanding the architecture behind the apps. So keep this mental model clear. Brokers are the interface. Your CSCS is the vault with the brokers, and your CHN is your unique identity. Once you understand that, then the entire system becomes significantly less confusing. And more importantly, of course, you begin to think like a true market participant, not just a platform user. Now, thank you for listening. Don't forget again, learn before you invest, build before you buy, and always approach investment with a long-time perspective. Thank you very much.